If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really, really sorry.
All of this is done on purpose. They're telling you exactly what's going to happen. They're coming for your kids. They're coming for all your institutions.
During the 2024 Olympics opening ceremony in Paris, some people felt that signs of God's wrath were evident. The event, which was meant to celebrate sports and unity, stirred up controversy instead. What could the consequences of mocking sacred beliefs be? Let us dive into the amazing signs of God's wrath that were present during the Olympic ceremony. Opening act raises eyebrows. The opening ceremony was meant to be a big, impressive display, celebrating the rich artistic and cultural contributions of France. However, some aspects of the ceremony went a bit too far, leading a lot of people to think that it was poking fun at religious traditions. The main issues were with certain performances and visuals that seemed to make a joke out of important religious symbols and practices. For example, there were parts of the ceremony where religious icons were used in ways that some people thought were disrespectful or even offensive. One particular performance had dancers dressed up like religious figures, doing dances that came off as disrespectful. This act was seen by many as a direct affront to their religious feelings. Furthermore, the way sacred symbols were used as just stage props added to the feeling that the ceremony was poking fun at these deeply held beliefs. For instance, crosses and other symbols were used more for their visual appeal than for any deeper meaning, which seemed to diminish their religious significance. A lot of people, especially those with strong religious convictions, saw this as disrespectful towards their faith in God. The general feeling was that the ceremony wasn't just about celebrating culture and sports, but was also trying to belittle religious traditions. This upset many people, leading to a lot of criticism and anger. In many religious teachings, the idea of God's wrath is significant. It suggests that God shows unhappiness or anger through different kinds of punishments or bad luck. For some, the thought that the 2024 Olympics opening ceremony might bring about such wrath wasn't a stretch. They believed that making fun of or disrespecting holy things could lead to bad consequences, affecting not just those directly involved, but society as a whole. In this light, the possibility of God's wrath was mentioned by some as a potential result of what they saw as disrespect in the ceremony. Discussions emerged about how this event, which seemed to mock God, could lead to negative outcomes like natural disasters, social unrest, or other troubles. While not everyone holds this view, it was a prevalent concern among those who were offended by the ceremony. The uproar over the 2024 Olympics opening ceremony also sparked a larger conversation about how we respect religious beliefs during public events. In a world that's becoming more secular, it's sometimes hard to keep cultural expression and respect for religious traditions separate. This incident emphasized the importance of being aware of these boundaries. It reminded us that while expressing ourselves artistically is important, it shouldn't be done in a way that disrespects sacred beliefs. For many, the reaction to the ceremony wasn't just about the specific acts or symbols used. It was also about a wider trend of sidelining or making fun of religious beliefs under the guise of art or cultural expression. This concern was intensified by the fact that the Olympics, which should unify people, appeared to be causing division over such a delicate issue. The controversy also highlighted how diverse and varied the beliefs and sensitivities of a global audience can be. The Olympics is watched by millions around the world, coming from different cultural and religious backgrounds. What might seem like a harmless piece of artistic expression to some can deeply hurt others. This incident reminded everyone of the need for cultural sensitivity and respect in international events. After the controversy, there were calls for apologies and assurances from the event organizers. Some people felt that recognizing the insensitivity shown during the ceremony could help heal the division it caused. There were also calls for more careful use of religious symbols in future events to avoid similar misunderstandings and offenses. The controversy surrounding the 2024 Olympics opening ceremony was complex and touched on very sensitive topics. It highlighted the importance of respecting religious beliefs in public events and the possible repercussions of not doing so. For those who felt their beliefs were ridiculed, it was a deeply personal and hurtful experience. For others, it was an educational moment about the power of religious symbols and the need for caution when incorporating them into public displays. In the end, this incident served as a reminder of the importance of respect and understanding in our diverse world. While artistic freedom is valuable, it shouldn't come at the cost of offending or belittling deeply held beliefs. The controversy from the 2024 Olympics opening ceremony clearly showed how delicate and impactful the use of religious symbols can be and stressed the need for handling them with care and respect. The reactions to the ceremony show how the Olympics often go beyond sports, sparking important global conversations. Controversial events in Olympic history. The Olympic Games have often been the backdrop for some pretty big disputes that got people talking all over the world. Let's take a trip through some of the more talked-about opening ceremonies and the issues they stirred up. First up, the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Germany, really got people heated. Adolf Hitler was in charge at the time, and he used the Olympics as a way to spread his terrible ideas about racism and how some people were better than others because of their race. A lot of athletes and countries didn't want to go because of this. In the end, 49 countries showed up, but the mood was tense. Germany didn't let Jewish athletes compete, and there was this big moment where Hitler supposedly ignored Jesse Owens, an African-American athlete, because he didn't fit Hitler's idea of the superior race. Then, fast forward to the 1948 London Olympics, right after World War II. These were called the Austerity Games, because they were pretty low budget. Germany and Japan weren't invited because of their roles in the war. The Soviet Union decided not to come, saying they weren't ready. Another thing that caused a stir was that German prisoners of war were used to help build the venues. Even though it was allowed, a lot of people didn't like it. Jump to 1988 in Seoul, where something really sad happened. During the opening, they released white doves as a peace symbol. But when the Olympic flame was lit, some of the doves accidentally got caught in the fire. This upset a lot of people, and they stopped using live animals in ceremonies after that. In 2008, Beijing pulled off an incredible opening ceremony, but not without its own drama. There was a young girl who lip-synced to a song because the actual singer was considered not cute enough to show on TV. When this came out, it sparked a big conversation about what's real and how far people go to create a perfect image. Then there was the 2012 London Olympics. They tried to lighten things up with a funny skit featuring James Bond, played by Daniel Craig, and Queen Elizabeth II. They even had a stunt double pretend to parachute into the stadium. While it was meant to be fun, some people thought it was a bit disrespectful to the Queen. Still, it became one of those unforgettable Olympic moments. All these events show that Olympic opening ceremonies aren't just about sports. They often reflect bigger issues going on in the world. They can be about politics, how we treat each other, or how we present ourselves. Each ceremony is a chance to say something to the whole world, and sometimes what's said can lead to arguments or important conversations. These opening ceremonies have a way of showing us more than just the sports. They're like a mirror reflecting the good, the bad, and everything in between in our world. They open up debates about right and wrong, inclusion and exclusion, and what we value as a society. Every choice made, every symbol shown, every song played can resonate far beyond the stadium, sparking discussions that reach every corner of the globe. These moments in Olympic history are not just about who can run fastest or jump highest. They're about who we are as a global community. They challenge us to think about how we connect, how we disagree, and how we represent ourselves to the world. It's a big stage, and what happens there can sometimes change the way we see things, making us think about more than just medals and records. The controversies surrounding the Games remind us of historical events where people believed that divine anger had significant consequences. Stories of God's anger. Throughout history, many events have been seen as signs of God getting really upset, reacting to the bad things people do. These events are talked about in different religious books, showing how a powerful God reacts to people not following the rules. One of the oldest stories is about the Great Flood, which is in the book of Genesis. It tells us that people were acting so badly that God wished he hadn't made them at all. To clean everything up, he sent a huge flood that wiped out almost everything. The only ones who survived were Noah, his family, and pairs of each animal who were safe on a big boat called an ark. This story really shows how serious God can be when it comes to dealing with bad behavior on a large scale. Then there's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, two cities famous for how badly people behaved there. God decided to destroy these cities because he couldn't find even 10 good people living there. He rained down fire and sulfur, completely wiping them out. A man named Lot, who lived there, was told to escape with his family and not look back. But his wife did look back and turned into a pillar of salt. This story is a harsh lesson about what can happen when places are filled with bad behavior. Another big example is the 10 plagues of Egypt from the book of Exodus. When the Pharaoh wouldn't free the Israelites, God sent 10 terrible plagues. These included the river Nile turning to swarms of frogs and locusts, and the death of every firstborn son in Egypt. These weren't just random disasters. They were strong messages about God's power and a warning against being cruel and not respecting other people's rights. There's also the personal story of Cain and Abel, where Cain, out of jealousy, eliminates his brother Abel. God punishes Cain, not by eliminating him, but by making him wander the earth forever. This shows how seriously God takes violence and jealousy, making it clear that such actions are always noticed and will be punished. Then, we have the Assyrian capture of the northern kingdom of Israel. The people of Israel had stopped following God, turning to other gods and corrupt behaviors. As a result, God allowed the Assyrians to defeat them, and many were taken away as captives. This story shows what can happen when a whole community turns away from divine laws and teachings. In the New Testament, God's anger is still a theme. Take the story of Jesus cursing a fig tree. When he finds it without fruit, he curses it, and it withers away. This was a way to show that just looking good on the outside isn't enough. What really matters is being fruitful in faith. The book of Revelation talks about the end times with 7 bowls of wrath that bring different disasters like painful sores, oceans turning to extreme heat, and complete darkness. These are shown as the final judgments against evil and rebellion, leading to the ultimate defeat of wrongdoings. But God's anger isn't always about dramatic disasters. In the New Testament, like in Romans, it talks about God's anger showing up when people ignore the truth and live ungodly lives. It's not just about punishing, it's also about setting things right and showing that actions against divine laws are serious. The Apostle Paul, in his letters, often talks about God's anger as something that comes from people choosing to do wrong. He stresses that God is fair, his judgments are always based on true justice, and everyone is held accountable. God's anger is also a big topic in the Psalms and the prophetic books. These writings often talk about God being mad at nations or people who go against him. They show that eventually, good will win over evil, and everything will be put right. All these stories and teachings serve as reminders that how we act really matters. They stress the point that bad actions can lead to serious consequences, and that following moral and spiritual rules is crucial. It's about recognizing that sooner or later, everyone is accountable for their actions. These stories also show that while God can be very strict, he's also about mercy and giving people a chance to get things right. In all these narratives, the main messages are about warning, judgment, and the need to turn things around. They paint a picture of a God who is just and holy, who responds to human actions with both forgiveness and discipline. The idea here is that God's anger isn't just random, it's a necessary reaction to bad actions, and it serves as a reminder that we all need to be mindful of how we live our lives. These tales of divine retribution lead us to explore personal accounts of individuals who claim to have encountered the divine in profound ways. Encounters with spiritual beings. Throughout history, there have been many stories and accounts of people seeing divine or spiritual beings, often linked to God or key religious figures. These sightings span across various cultures and eras, and for those who experience them, they often hold deep spiritual meanings. One of the most recognized examples is the phenomenon of Marian apparitions, where people claim to have seen the Virgin Mary. These sightings have occurred all over the world, with some of the most well-known happening in Lourdes, Fatima, and Guadalupe. In these events, the Virgin Mary reportedly appeared to share messages about faith, the importance of repentance, and the value of peace. For instance, in 1858, a young girl named Bernadette Soubirous said she saw the Virgin Mary in a small cave in Lourdes. This claim turned the location into a major spot for pilgrimages, famous for its supposed healing properties. Another common type of sighting involves visions of Jesus Christ. There have been many claims throughout history from people who say they've seen Jesus in dreams or visions. Often, these experiences are described as very personal and life-changing, offering comfort, guidance, or a call to serve a greater purpose. A modern example of these stories can be found in the book Encountering Jesus, which gathers various first-hand accounts of people who say they've met Jesus in supernatural ways. These accounts include everything from visions and dreams to miraculous healings and unexpected interventions. Then there are the tales of divine help during tough or dangerous times, often seen as miracles. A famous historical instance is during the siege of Vienna in 1683, when a Christian army under King John III Sobieski of Poland defeated the invading Ottoman forces. Many attributed this unexpected victory to divine intervention, specifically through prayers made to the Virgin Mary. There are also numerous stories about angels who supposedly appear to offer protection or guidance, acting as messengers or representatives of God's will. Apart from these well-documented phenomena, there are countless lesser-known reports of supernatural occurrences connected to God or sacred figures. Some individuals claim to see unusual signs like halos or glowing lights around religious statues or paintings, interpreting them as indications of God's presence. Others recount hearing heavenly music or voices while engaged in prayer or during religious services. These experiences often have a profound impact on those involved, strengthening their faith and their feeling of a personal connection with the divine. This idea of paranormal sightings related to God isn't exclusive to Christianity. In Hinduism, for instance, believers often report seeing deities like Krishna or Shiva, especially during intense periods of devotion or meditation. Such sightings, known as darshan, are considered spiritually uplifting and bring blessings. In Islam, there are stories of people seeing angels or hearing Allah's voice during prayer. These experiences are deeply integrated into the believer's religious practices and are generally viewed as confirmations of their faith. These various sightings and experiences, while highly personal and hard to prove, hold significant importance in the spiritual lives of those who report them. They act as moments of direct connection with the divine, bringing reassurance, guidance, or a deeper commitment to their faith. Although these accounts are often met with skepticism, for many believers, they are strong proofs of the divine's real presence and influence in their lives. In essence, paranormal sightings related to God cover a broad spectrum of experiences, from seeing holy figures to witnessing miraculous events. These stories are found in different cultures and religions, emphasizing the universal aspect of spiritual experiences. Whether interpreted as messages from the divine or as psychological events, they continue to inspire and shape the religious beliefs of millions across the globe. These stories not only enrich the spiritual tapestry of the communities they touch, but also provide personal moments of awe and reflection for the individuals involved, reinforcing their beliefs and often guiding their actions in profound ways. Is the apparent divine anger during the Olympic ceremony just a coincidence? Or could there be something deeper at play, perhaps even a message we're missing? Let us know what you think about this intriguing event. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.